decision on draft resolution A/80/L48 entitled Declaration of the Trafficking of Enslaved Africans and Racialized chattel enslavement of Africans as a gravest crime against humanity. Those in favor of the draft resolution A/80/L48, please signify. The result of the vote is as follows. In favor, 123, against 3, abstentions 52. Therefore, draft resolution A/80/L48 is adopted.
Just voted for reparations on racialized slavery. And surprise, surprise, the United States, Israel, and the anarcho-capitalist fifth world country Argentina voted against it, with Ukraine, Banderite Ukraine, abstaining from it, and other countries like the United Kingdom abstaining from it. But all the bad countries, all the pariahs like Russia and China and Cuba, etc., they all voted in favor of reparations for the historic wrongdoings of slavery. So might it be that the same people that have lied to us about every single war and about virtually everything else, might it be that they're also lying to us about who the bad guys are? Might it be that they, the Epstein class, are the real bad guys? The United Nations just...
I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors to our apostle elders, which rule great millstone well, and which teach us the truth. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, Wa Abba Babal. So as you just saw, the UN declared that what happened to us in slavery, which really were the Israelites, they're saying Africans, but the so-called American Negroes that were brought here on slave ships, which pertain to also the Haitians, which are the tribe of Levi, and Benjamin, the so-called Jamaicans, the American Negro being Judah, the tribe of Judah, were brought here on slave ships. And as sure as that prophecy was fulfilled, and the Northern Kingdom suffered slavery here also, which that's why it's spiritual Egypt, because only in Egypt were we together in slavery. And all the 12 tribes had served slavery in America. Babylon the great whore. All right? Now, they're saying that there's supposed to be reparations, but you couldn't give us enough, because they said that the worst thing that happened on earth amongst mankind was the slavery that took place in America, which includes the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians of North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbeans. But you got to remember, we were sold in slavery and shipped around the world like cargo. And this happened multiple times. All right? All right? So that shows you that the counterfeits in the Holy Land, the small hat, big nose bastards, all right, they're counterfeits, because they don't even register as someone that suffered in slavery. The so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, which been scattered throughout the world in multiple slaveries, because we've been enslaved for many generations under all the nations, all right? So you can never pay us back but by your life. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to go into slavery after the downfall of Babylon the Great. And this is prophesied, all right, in the Holy Scriptures.
Wives. We're sitting here letting white people tell us who's the main perpetrator of crimes that happen in this country. Y'all literally come from a long line of disgusting people. Your granddaddy used to grate black male slaves in front of their black wives for fun and make them watch.
See, so you got much to pay for. Which in our kingdom, there'll be righteousness, so we will not be doing those foul acts, but you will be impaled, and different forms of judgment will be carried out, fulfilling the law of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, according to prophecy. All right? This is all in the scriptures.
America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this.
And this man here is Drusky, and he's dressed in Transformer clothing, looking like the woman that speaks for the president, showing you that the wicked rule the world, because this is an abomination that's allowed under the watch of the wicked. All right? And who's the Transformer promoting? Esau Edom, the so-called white man. That's really who Satan is. The devil is the so-called white man. There's a spirit on the so-called white man to defile the Israelite, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian. That's what America, the American experiment is they're trying to defile the Israelites. But they're only allowed to destroy 2/3, which they're going to be destroyed by being deceived by the devil, which, look at Drusky. He's deceived, all right? He got demons on him, or he's putting on women's garments for a paycheck. When that's fiat currency, it ain't even real money. You see, so there's Israelites that are going to be destroyed for the lack of knowledge, like Drusky. Which is not that he don't know about us, because right before this skit, he did a skit acting like he's a Hebrew Israelite prophet. Now he's dressing in drag of a so-called white woman, promoting so-called white men. What do you think the so-called white race did to this man? They sodomized him. They molested him, and they put him out there to speak propaganda. And they do this to the women also. They'll get a woman, and they'll take her for her talent, and they'll transform her into a so-called man. Because this is the kingdom of the wicked. This is the devil's throne, America. But Yahweh's sending Yahushai on his throne from heaven to destroy the wicked and their wicked kingdom, to stop this wickedness from corrupting the earth. All right, and it goes to all these nations. All these nations, all right? Now I'm going to finish up with these scriptures right here. In Joel 3, all right? It says in Joel 3, verse 1, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem," which is happening right now. They're trying to put us back in slavery with the implantable microchip, the mark of the beast. Judah and Jerusalem is the northern kingdom, southern kingdom, and northern kingdom. Judah represents southern kingdom. Jerusalem represents northern kingdom. It says in verse 3, "And they have cast lots for my people, which they sell us," all right, as slaves. That's why you have a social security number. And they literally took us and sold us. And now they sell us digitally. That's why they're going to put a chip inside you, so that they can trade you on the digital program. It says, "And they have cast lots for my people," and they do this with the other nations. Look up the bonds. Who owns the bonds of America? The other nations, starting with Ammon and Moab, the so-called Japanese and the Chinese. It says, "And have given a boy for an harlot." I just showed you that. Look at Drusky. He's a boy, but you made him a harlot. And sold a girl for wine. Look at the women of our nation. They're hoed out. There's no virtue in the women of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians in America. And they promoted that through their media, right? They gave the world a vision of wickedness. It says in verse, I can't remember what verse this is, but you can look it up. It's in Joel 3. In fact, I can go there. Forgive me. I took the picture, but I'm not going to be lazy. I'm going to pull it up. Because this is important. All right? We're about to inherit the world and these heathen. All right? Verse 4. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? Which these were Hamite nations. But right now you got Edomite nations in there. But as you saw in the UN meeting, Ham and Esau are confederate. And they know what's been done to us. They both had part in it. And all the coast of Palestine. Gaza is promised to Judah. Why is not Judah in there? It says Judah will rest in that land, Gaza. See? So these prophecies are coming to pass and they can't stop it. That's why they're actually, in a way, trying to acknowledge it, but they're deceiving you by saying Africans. All right? It says, will ye render me a recompense? Now you're saying that you want to pay reparations? But at the same time, you're trying to slaughter us. You're trying to starve us. You're cutting off the jobs. You're polluting the water. You're polluting the air. You're making military moves with strategy of complete annihilation. You said no mercy. All right? So this will return upon your own head. It says, and if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. So what you did unto us, you have to suffer. For Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai to be just. And he's not a liar, nor is his son. All right? This is why the truth, he has the title and reputation of being the truth. All right? And really the beast system that rules the world with Edom, it was prophesied that this would come into place so that we could get the glory and we could glorify Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. Zephaniah 3, read it. All right? It says, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, look at the Arch of Titus, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The sons also of Judah and the sons of Jerusalem, which you have the Israelites here, have ye sold unto the Grecians. Who sold us to the Grecians? The Hamites, the fucking Africans. And you had Israelites participating in that, just like you have Israelites participating in the Ice Cube and Ice T program. That is a weapon formed against us that shall not prosper. All right? It says that ye might remove them far from their border. And that's why it says in Malachi 1 that we're going to witness the Lord's judgment beyond the border of Jerusalem, because we're far from the Holy Land. So the Lord's going to punish the kingdom of the wicked, which were enslaved in Babylon the great whore. Where did the worst atrocities happen to these people that they speak of when they say Africans, when they really mean the Israelites? Was here in America. Where did the German in World War II get the idea for what he was doing? It was from America, because what they did to the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian. Look up Manifest Destiny. Look up transatlantic slave trade. All right? And there's more beyond that. There's so much more. That's why Esau's eventually going to be made extinct. All right? After 1,000 years of hard slavery. Because if we got what we got, and we got to get payback, and it says double, all right? You're literally going to die and come back from being dead to continue to work. All right? You're going to go through slavery, and you're literally going to pass and give up the spirit because the work is so hard. But we're going to have the power to bring you back from the dead and make your ass get up and go back to work. The only days you'll have off are the holy days, and those days you'll be licking your wounds. This is what the Bible says, for what you've done unto us. Look into what you've done unto us, and what you're still doing to us, and what you have planned for us. All right? It says, behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, which were scattered throughout the world. Ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the sons of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans. The Sabaeans are the Cushites, the Ethiopians. We're going to literally take these heathen in slavery, and we're going to sell them amongst each other. All right? And Esau is as it says in the Flintstones, bedrock. He's the bottom of the barrel. It says, to a people far off, because you're going to be not near us. In the kingdom of heaven, you're going to be in the caves, in the ground, digging. All right? You're not going to come up. You don't even like the sun anyway. All right? You're trying to cover the sun with your chemtrails. You're going to go into the fucking ground, and you're going to be in there. Now, we're going to have concubines of your daughters, all right? When we are in the kingdom, we'll have concubines of all the different nations, all right? But we're going to actually have slaves, the other nations, and we're going to sell them amongst each other. It says, to a people far off, for Yahweh has spoken it. See? So Yahweh has spoken it. What you've done unto us, we're going to do unto you. And that's why Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, is just. It says in verse 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which we've been scattered amongst the Gentiles. That's why Israelites in the New Testament are known as Gentiles. All right? It says, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, which you see them being gathered in the valley of slaughter, as it was prophesied. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So the Lord is summoning you, nations and your militaries, to the so-called Middle East, which really it's Asia, the continent of Asia. And the Lord said, woe unto thee, Babylon, and woe unto thee, Asia, Egypt, and Syria, because the world is about to be punished for what they did to the Israelites, and that's the Holy Land over there. That's our land. And we're over here in slavery, so he's going to punish them that are occupying our land, and also them that have us in slavery. Beat your plowshares into swords, weapons of war, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong, like Iran. Assemble yourselves together. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, which the Lord has the elect here, and he's going to send angels, which are already here, to fight for us. And eventually he's going to put it in the heart of the heathen king to shoot nuclear missiles on America and turn it into a lake of fire. And at that moment, is Yahweh Shai going to save us? At the command of Yahweh. It says, at the cry of an archangel. All right, he comes down with the host of heaven to save us from the host of missiles, which Yahweh Shai rules over man, angels, and missiles. All right? It says, O Yahweh, which he commands Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh Shai fulfills it. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, the so-called Middle East. You can look it up. From Yemen to Turkey, from Euphrates to Egypt. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. See, so you're going to get all your military gathered over there, and the Lord's going to send Yahushua, and he's going to pour fire upon them. Fire from heaven, from that chariot, from the host of heaven. And then he's going to put it also in the hearts of these heathen to shoot their great sword, the nuclear missile, upon Babylon, which who produced the great sword through Timan. All right, like Einstein and Oppenheimer. All right, and it's going to be the judgment of the great whore that America is turned into a lake of fire, and this is what Yahweh Shai is going to save us from. He says in 14, multitudes, which this is going to include Israelites, they're going to die for the lack of knowledge, right? All they know how to do is be a slave, so they're going to try to keep making money, and they're going to, pretty much the only job is to go into the military and die in the meat grinder, because that's a depopulation mechanism. All right. It says in the valley of decision, the valley of slaughter, for the day. And if you want to see the valley, look up the Middle East with the terrain map, and you'll see that there's a valley on the Saudi Arabian peninsula that goes all the way up to Turkey. All right. You got mountains on the west and mountains on the east. All right. And then ocean on the south, and when you go north, it goes up to Turkey, and they're going to be gathered there fighting each other, and then eventually they're going to find themselves fighting Yahushua. Read 2nd Ezra 13. It says, the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining, because of the destruction that's going to take place. It's going to block out the sun, the moon, the stars. That's why Yahushua has to save us. And the ones that survive, they're going to be in the bunkers, these billionaire bunkers outside of America. It says, Yahweh also shall roar out of Zion. So the prophets are Israelites. And utter his voice from Jerusalem, which are enslaved in America. Hey, even the heathen confess this, though they put these bywords on us like Africans. We're not Africans, we're Israelites. And we're not black. All right, you got Israelites that look like so-called Caucasians. You got Israelites that look like Asians. You got Israelites that look like all the nations. But we have something better than the other nations. We have the bloodline of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, the holy people of Israel, share the blood of the Messiah. All right, it says, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, which he's going to avenge us for what they did to us. But Yahweh will be the hope of his people. That's why he's given us his name and his son's name. And the strength of the sons of Israel. Last one. So shall ye know that I am Yahweh, your power, dwelling in Zion. The prophets are Israelites, and we're telling you before it happens, so that you might repent, you Israelites that are scattered through the world. And that's why we have the internet, the unicorn. It's all set up for us to win. The 2/3 reject. They reject to win. They've been rejected because they cannot accept. They can't be loved. They've been destroyed like Drusky. How you gonna love some shit like that? All right. It says, my holy mountain, the Israelites that repent, then shall Jerusalem be holy. We're set apart from the other nations. Fuck the other nations. Fuck them trying to pay us back. It was prophesied that they would try to please us. Don't be impressed by this fiat currency that they try to give you. Like with Nero, he just signed another stimulus for $3,000. What the fuck is $3,000 going to do for you when gas is going to be $15 a gallon? It says, then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore, because he's going to put us back in that land after he destroys the great whore, Babylon the Great. It's all prophesied, and you can't run from it. You can't change it. All right, it's guaranteed to happen. Look at history to know the mystery. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Wa abab abal.